Good morning, my fellow Americans. I do not wish to be an alarmist, but this country and its democracy is eroding. And we have a number of issues going on that the politicians refuse to address because they're too busy fighting with one another. We have political violence going on. We have gun violence going on. We have hatred and racism going on. This hatred goes to other sexes, other races, trans people, to everybody. We have so much going on, and the politicians are to blame for this. The parties are to blame for this. It's just not the Republican Party or the MAGA Party or the Democratic Party. It's everybody. Our freedoms are being eroded even as we speak. Corruption is going on even as we speak. We must be united. We must rise up and fight to keep our democracy. The current president may be doing some things that may be needed, but he's doing them in the wrong way. For example, immigration. Immigration has been an issue in this country for longer than I've been alive. But I've seen a lot of comments, especially from MAGA and the Republicans, that, Biden allowed so many immigrants in, or Obama. It's basically getting blamed on the Democrats. Here's the truth of the matter. Immigration has been a problem on both sides, and both sides have allowed it. I'm not necessarily against immigration. But the problem is illegal immigration. And both sides are responsible for that. It's not just Democrats, it's not just Republicans. Another thing that's going on is if you have an opinion of the president or whatever, you're basically automatically labeled as a traitor or a liberal or a Democrat. Or if you disagree with someone of a certain party, then you become like that party's enemy or whatever. That is not the case. Many people oppose this current president because he's taken steps to unlimited power and becoming a tyrant. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. I do not belong to a certain party. Both sides have some good points, but I will say this: the Republican Party used to be an honorable party at one time, but then they let MAGA take over everything. And MAGA, I'm sorry for people who do not like this view, but MAGA has kind of become a cult. Republicans have always been their own thing. They've always opposed the Democrats, but in times of great needs, they have stood with the Democrats to fight for serious issues. Well, right now, The Republicans have been so absorbed into the MAGA organization, if you will call it that, that they can't see what's going on in their own party. Like I said, this isn't about Democrats or Republicans. It's about both. It's about everything. Yes, we have issues with illegal immigration. Yes, we need to take a stand. But we also need to do it legally. How many of these so-called illegal, how many of these so-called illegal immigrants are being deported when they're not actually illegal, when they're actually U.S. citizens, or they're here legally, or they're being deported because someone wants to lie to them and say they're a member of some certain criminal gang or whatever. We need to rely on facts. We need to rely on truth, not lies, not propaganda. And we have concentration camps being built in this country. Alligator Alcatraz. And even though the term concentration camp is not being used, that is what it is, basically. We are imprisoning people for their opinions. We are imprisoning people because they don't look like us, because they don't agree with us. And that is wrong. We don't get bills passed in this country because that bill was, because that legislation was created by someone of the opposite party. That is wrong. Too many times in this country, things cannot get done because one party proposes legislation and the other party opposes it just because someone in their so-called enemy party oppose it. Granted, we're not going to agree on everything, but we need to do what's best for this country. This political party system is hurting this country. It's been doing it for a long time. Nothing can get done. We cannot allow this to continue. There's good people on both sides, but there's also corruption on both sides. We have traitors. We have people guilty of treason in the political system. The Supreme Court is corrupt. The law system is corrupt. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying the entire Supreme Court of their entire law system is corrupt, but there's some corruption in both. But these are people that they're supposed to be independent, they're supposed to be nonpartisan, so they're supposed to decide what's best for this country. But too many times they belong to a political party, and that's how they want to do it. The current Supreme Court has allowed the current administration to erode the Constitution. Democracy is being destroyed before our very eyes. And it's not just happening by MAGA or Republicans. It's both sides are to blame for this. We need someone independent. We need someone not aligned with either party to restore this country to what it used to be. We need someone who will oppose the corruption, who will crush the traitors. who will do something about the gun violence. Let me tell you what would happen if I were to ever become president. First thing I would do, one of the first things I would do is I'd take an immediate step on the gun violence. First thing I do is I sit down with members of all parties and even independents, and we'd have a serious talk. And if you cannot seriously talk about the gun violence and stuff, then you'll be swept aside. I'm not suggesting gun control, but I'm suggesting we need to have a serious, honest discussion, nonpartisan discussion about gun control and gun violence. Yes, there needs to be some form of common sense gun control. I'm not saying taking everybody's guns away, but we need to come to a consensus for our children, for our children's children. And the same goes with other issues such as immigration, such as our basic rights that were given under the United States Constitution. We cannot let democracy erode. We cannot let this country, this democracy, become a dictatorship. As I've said, this political party system has been to blame for a long time. Maybe it's time for the political parties to go. Maybe not. It's time for, as my channel states, for America to be united. We must end racism. We must end support of child molesters, pedophiles. We must get this illegal immigration under control in a legal way, in a legal and just way. A leader cannot sit here and try to silence people's opinions because they don't necessarily agree with that leader. That is unacceptable. We have a freedom of speech in this country. And people are using it. People are using it to criticize the president. And unfortunately, those who do are labeled as Democrats or unpatriotic or liberals. That's not the case. Most of the time, that's not the case. Just because you oppose someone doesn't mean that you're, a liberal or a Democrat. Or just because you say something about the president or about a senator or whatever. We have people expressing their opinions about the Charles Kirk assassination. People have a right to their opinions. I'm not going to express my opinion on here. The one thing I will say is, we do not need to lower the flags for a so-called MAGA activist. And it doesn't necessarily need to be MAGA, it could be a Democratic activist, an independent activist. Lowering the flag should be only for United States Armed Force personnel, dignitaries, or presidents. When that Democratic couple got assassinated, flags were never lowered for them. This is part of the corruption I'm talking about. But it's only one small example on both sides. We have got to get this country back under control. Democracy is going away. Democracy is being eroded. People are getting afraid to speak out anymore. I am nearly 51 years old. I turned 51 on the 30th of this month. And if you can see my hat properly, I spent 6 years in the United States military. I took an oath to protect and defend the citizens of this country, the Constitution, from both enemies, both foreign and domestic. We need to rise up. We need to stop what's going on. We need to tell both parties that they need to stop arguing and they need to listen. We need one person to unite America. We need someone who's willing to crush our enemies, to crush corruption. We don't need someone to continue to allow corruption to grow, to allow racism to continue to grow. There was a lot of promises made by this current administration when they got elected, and like politicians on both sides and presidents on both sides, these have been lies. These promises have not been kept. I've seen comments, and I'm not picking on the MAGA party, but I've seen comments by MAGA supporters who are like, well, we voted for this and we voted for that. You voted for a tyrant is what you voted for. Just like there are Democratic supporters out there who have voted for corruption on their side. Unfortunately, the biggest threat to democracy right now is our current administration. But that's not just it. The biggest threat to our democracy right now, the biggest threat to this country, is both political parties. We need common sense legislation for a lot of things. If you see some legislation that you think is a good idea, vote yes on it or whatever. Do not oppose it just because the legislation was created by someone in the opposing party. Like I said, people are not going to always agree with each other. That's understandable. But we also do not need to disagree with each other on good things. If there's something that you think can help Americans, vote on it. Support it if you want. But if you see something that, might help Americans, but you're opposed to it because the other side supports it, don't do that. That's one of the biggest problems in this country is nothing can get done because people are opposing each other just because they're on different sides of the coin, different sides of the aisle, different sides of the political system, whatever you'd like to call it. That needs to stop. We need to stop. Excuse me. We need to stop this decline of this country and democracy. As I said, I am not aligned with either party. And as it says in my channel, America needs to be united. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean we always need to agree with each other. But we've never been so divided before. Things must change. If I was to become president, I would. A lot of people probably wouldn't like the things I do, but on both sides, but I would crack down on a lot of the things that are going on. It is time to listen to the people of the United States. Not to corrupt the politicians or to would-be tyrants or to the rich who have a lot of money and are afraid of losing their money. We need to listen to the people of this country. We need to really address the issues. Address everything that's going on in this country. We have people dying to political violence on both sides. We have children dying to gun violence every day. I have 2 children and I have 2 grandchildren. I'm afraid that one of these days, one or both of my grandchildren may be involved in some school violence. They may become victims of it. Back in my day, we didn't have to worry about that. But, it's become worse. But the political arguments need to end. The political bickering just because we're on different sides of the party or different sides or whatever, different, in different parties or whatever we are, needs to end. We need America united. We need to correct the things that are going on in this country. We need democracy back. We need freedom back. Both sides are to blame. Both sides are to blame for the decline of this country, for the current situation that we got going on. We need someone to step up and take charge and fix things. We need someone who will not be afraid to ruffle feathers or to step on people's toes. Because that is what is needed. We need someone who will restore this country back to its glory. But that's not happening at the moment. I will be posting... I'm hoping to be posting a video at least once a week, hopefully every Tuesday and Thursday. Because I have another YouTube channel that I do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And plus I have young grandchildren, so I wait until everybody's left the house to record my videos for my channels because it's quiet. But people need to stand up united as one. Help us bring this country back to where it should be. Thank you.